This is a podcast or something like that. I am 5'7", but my wife thinks I'm 5'9". Do you know that song? It's the new hit single. What's the name of the fuck, I'm knocking things over at the beginning of the public episode. What's the name of the creator of that? Brian Jordan Alvarez?
I say I'm 5'9", but I know that's not right. I am 5'7".
So if you use social media, you might have heard that song. I think it came out like a week ago. I don't know the backstory. I didn't look anything up. It stuck in my head, and I sent it to a family member, and they said they cried laughing at it. It's very fun. It's, these social media songs. I think it's a comedian rather than a musician that made it, or predominantly a comedian. Could be wrong. I should have looked stuff up. It doesn't matter. Anyways, these songs are catchy, and, they speak to the true human experience of lying about your height to your spouse. Welcome to, I think I have lied about my height. I don't know. I think I'm like 5'10" and like 3/4. That's my memory. I haven't been measured in quite a long time, but I think that's my memory. And then, is saying you're 5'11" a lie? I'm not going to say I'm 5'10" and 3/4. When you reach a certain age, you can't say that anymore. And, I'm not going to say 5'10". What am I going to be, modest? Give me a break. 5'11" apparently is the height that if someone tells you they're 5'11", they're inherently lying, though, because if you are actually 5'11", the logic is you would lie and say you're 6 feet tall. I've heard someone else say this. I think I've heard, who have I heard say this? It's such a random, it's like a political commentator. What's that guy's name? Whatever. He's nice. Okay, anyways, hey, welcome to the public episode. It's episode 48 of the Verbal Journal podcast, and most of you listening right now have never listened before, so you're like, this is episode 1 to me, or maybe some of you are like, this is episode 2 to me, because you listened to the first public episode, and then there's a few of you that are like, yeah, this is episode 48 to me, or 40, 40 maybe. You don't listen to every single one, but 40. And, hi, welcome. So this is a podcast. I do this. I just sit down every Sunday. I talk. So I like doing this. It's fun. It's a verbal journal. I basically talk about whatever I want. No one pays me to do this. I mean, Patreon and YouTube members, but, there's no contract. I basically do whatever I want. And it's fun. I've actually been doing it for a year now. It's kind of wild to reflect. Let me look back, actually, the exact date of the first one, because I know it was January of last year, but I think it was was it early January? Was it late January? That's sort of the deep question that I'm wondering here. Episode, January 22nd, solo pod about writing and creativity, and that's when I convinced myself to do the Breaking Bad video. So, haven't convinced myself to do a video in a while. Let's talk about that for a quick hot second, as we get into the pod. I did an episode probably not long after that first one in January, like February, maybe March, where I went through all my old videos, like the list of them, and sort of talked about the progression from one video to the next. And what I sort of observed, if you happen to listen to that, which no one did, but that's fine. I observed, holy crap, I made videos so fast. I didn't even remember looking back that I would just put out a video and then immediately start working on another video. So, that's cool. That's cool that I had that motivation and that I wanted to do that. If I think about why I haven't made a video in the last 6 months or 7 months or more, about 7 months, it's basically, I don't have an idea that feels like it's the right one to go with immediately. It has to sort of be pretty captivating if I'm going to pour, dozens of hours into it, depending on what we're talking about. So I have a few things. I have, I have a few projects. If you've listened, you've heard me talk about it. I don't have anything immediately pressing. Like basically one cool thing is, working on, a project where, I go into the experience of someone who was, falsely convicted of a crime, who did not commit a crime and was convicted and served an enormous amount of time for it. So I don't necessarily want to go into all the details of it because it's going to be a while. It might be a while. It's a big project, and but that's near and dear to me because I know that it's actually, I don't know, it can make a good difference. I guess making any video makes a difference, and I shouldn't put too much pressure on it. Like, I do get nice comments all the time from people like, oh, I really connected with your video and stuff. And so it's very meaningful, that just to put anything out there that people connect with. I know it doesn't have to be this big subject like incarceration or, justice, but a lot of my videos are about justice. It's a interesting subject. I studied philosophy in college, and justice is one of those subjects that comes up a little bit. And Plato or Socrates or whatever, those little goofballs names that are, they're like, oh hey, what do you think justice is? Oh no, not much. How about you? And they're like, oh, not much. And then, it's very deep. There's a lot of deep conversations that people have about this type of stuff. So I just always got captivated by that and wanted to captivate others through the captivation of justice. So other subjects on my channel, are also cool and freaking music. Yeah, I don't know. My channel, I guess what I'm trying to say is like I could go in a lot of different directions. Also, with the huge massive success of the Breaking Bad video, it's kind of a situation of like, well, what do I want? What do I actually want to do? Because even still Breaking Bad, that video, it still gets as many views as like if I put out a video now that got a lot of views. So I'm kind of dissuaded against just uploading any random thing because as of now, YouTube is still treating my channel like I'm worthy of so much attention, and it's doting on me with the direction of people's eyeballs. So yeah, it's interesting because I'm like both taking advantage of it and not taking advantage of it by not uploading, I guess. I don't know which because no one knows unless they're the CEO of YouTube. I assume they keep the secrets about the algorithm in like a sort of locked box of some kind. But the real reason, and I waited a while to go into this because I didn't want people to hear it, but the real reason why I haven't uploaded is lately, for the last month or so, is all this attention on plagiarism is freaking me out because let me tell you, I have relied heavily on plagiarism. 99% of my videos have been plagiarized, okay? So now that people are paying so much attention to this, I'm just like, what do I do? And Matt, put yourself in my position. Have a little empathy for me in this situation, and imagine what it's like for me. Everything's been plagiarized. Everything's been plagiarized. So like even in the Breaking Bad video, when I'm like, oh, I watched Better Call Saul, and I made 8 videos about it. That line is plagiarized from someone else who made 8 videos about Better Call Saul. So even stuff like that. Everything, from, the whole, everything about, Lewis, that entire Lewis section, was actually plagiarized from James Somerton, ironically. He had a really great video about Lewis, and I stole that from him. As far as I'm aware, that was his original work. Everything. my video about Jimmy the Artist was plagiarized from a small channel called Jimmy the Artist, and they just made videos on that subject, and so I just took all of them, compiled them into one big video. My video where I'm playing the guitar, it's called I Swallowed a Loop Pedal. That one is plagiarized by that's John McLaughlin. I plagiarized that from John McLaughlin, the legendary guitarist. So speaking of John McLaughlin, I do, and I'm not even joking, but I won't go into it right now but I have a massive video project about a subject that people would be interested in, but it's very different. It's sort of about a company. I haven't really done that, I don't think, but I've been following a company for several years now, and and I have mentioned it slightly before, but anyways, it's not even close to ready to be done, but one of these days, I'll jump back into that as well. So I have, different projects on the back burner that have been sort of slowly cooking, but it's not the same thing as before with my channel where I'm like, I need to have a video. Let me dive into something. Let me dive into this YouTube channel. Let me dive into this show. I just don't feel that same pressure because I feel like, well, I want it to be like really good. Like it's a hard act to follow, making a really successful video. Like look, let's be honest. Like I never even imagined having a video get that many views. Never. Like when I made my channel in August 2020, like I dream big, and I'm not, subscribers are good too. So that's part of the goal, as well as views and watch time and so on. And it's not all about the numbers, but it's about what it means. And so achieving more than I've ever really wanted with this sort of venture has made me, really reassess over the last 6 or 7 months. Like, so what do I want to do? And as you might know, I'm like, I do other stuff. So I'm a therapist, I work, and then I also just like, I have a life. So the YouTube channel is really a channel. It's not my job. So even though I do earn some money from it now, which is great, it really makes a huge difference in my life. This past year, I made like more money than ever before, which is not like a crazy amount compared to, people who like work in business and stuff. But as a social worker, I actually was able to do my job and make this side money from YouTube, Patreon, YouTube members and stuff. And it was like enough to make it so I was like actually comfortable. Whereas a year ago, I was on the line of like running out of money, to be honest. So that's pretty cool. Like now I have a little bit of a cushion and I'm comfortable. Whereas a year ago, I was literally like, like taking money out of savings, and my savings is running out too. You know what I mean? You ever been there? Yeah. So also since May, when I dropped the video, in the summer, I got into like writing some fiction, which I've been into in the past. So I was writing some short fiction. We have a little fiction group we've done twice with the Discord. My Discord is not very active, so I try to not like talk about it too much because I don't want to hype it up, and then people like join the Patreon or the YouTube members for a few bucks, and then they're like, oh, this Discord is totally dead. Because it's very much not an active Discord, but we chill and share links and whatever. And we had a little fiction writing group where we wrote some fiction and shared it. It was pretty fun. But I got into writing fiction this past summer, and then I've also been just like painting. I've been working on oil paintings because it's just so much fun. The paint takes forever to dry, and so you could just like fuck around with it for so long. So that's been really fun, and I've been really very explicitly, when I was working on the Breaking Bad video, it took so much work, y'all, and all the videos take a lot of work, but like writing that script was months, and obviously the editing was so long and everything. But like writing the script even was just such a process, and I do have a video about it, on the Patreon and for YouTube members, but like about the process. But like, I started to explicitly think to myself, I'm sick of making arguments. I just want to mess around. So that's what painting allows me to do. I don't, have to make a point. I don't have to make a freaking point. I could just mess around and make art. And so I've been chilling with my friends more too, and just trying to be more social and just live life. And I've been also playing chess a lot. That's been really fun. I'm gonna, I haven't been live streaming, so a few people enjoyed the live streams on Twitch and YouTube. I'm gonna live stream once in a while. I think I am gonna do it, probably on Twitch or YouTube. I got some stuff. I got some stuff that I want to chat about. I have like 50 chess games I've saved that are like really cool. Yesterday I beat a 2000 rated player. I'm like 1530 on Lichess or in that time control, and I beat a 2000 rated player. It was such a good game. Like that is an enormous rating difference. That is like a 1 out of like probably. Actually, I could tell you. Hold on. ELO calculator chances of winning, because that's how it works. Your rating is based on chances of winning. So yeah, here we go. So if they are 500 rating points higher, your probability of winning is 5.32%. I think I was gonna say like, what did I say? Did I say something? I think I was gonna say like 1 in 30 or something. So I was kind of close. Maybe I did say a different fraction. Anyways, about 5% chance of winning. That's wild. And I did. So, and then we played twice more and they beat me. So unfortunate. But, so yeah. So anyways, long story short, that's why there haven't really been uploads. Terrified of the plagiarism. But I just love the idea of saying that I've plagiarized things. So people go back into my videos and just listen to them really closely. I'm just trying to get some attention. I'm just trying to get a little attention. Okay. So yeah, every word is plagiarized. Catch me. I do think it's really funny. Like plagiarism, all this stuff, and I've talked about it a bit on the previous episodes, but like, it reminds me of being in college and realizing people still cheated on stuff. Like in college, I studied philosophy, but I took classes in a variety of subjects. I took classes in things I was interested in, mostly writing oriented. So plagiarism would have been the way to steal. You can't just like look at somebody else's, like quiz or something necessarily, usually. Even though I did take some classes with more objective stuff. Symbolic logic and so on. But I remember like learning that people actually still cheat and like bring in maybe like a cheat sheet to a test and just cheat. And I was like, whoa, people are still cheating. It's like, wait, so you're in college and you're cheating. So that means you're inherently on an unsustainable path? Or that's sort of like what doesn't make sense. Like, when do you stop cheating on that path, I guess? Because are you going to be a professional and you're going to be cheating? Like, I mean, not that people think about that. I wasn't thinking about, my future all the time, obviously, when I was younger. But I do now. I think about my future every single moment of every day. Every single minuscule moment. And it's stressful. So, okay, I wanted to run through some of the channel milestones because it is the new year. It's 2024,000. And I wanted to just quickly run through some of the channel milestones. Most of you probably are just here since the Breaking Bad video. Some of you have probably dipped into the old videos. Some of you probably haven't. And that's okay. I'm sure you're very busy, So first milestone was just uploading the first video. And the way that came about was I was lying in bed one night. I had been into YouTube videos for a few months, video essays and stuff. And then I was lying in bed and I was thinking about my work and my life and my work-life balance and stuff to do with that. And I was like, it'd be interesting to make my own YouTube videos and talk about how I sort of do my work and but like more, not like therapy as a job maybe, but like the themes and patterns of therapy and just like popularize sort of mental health understanding through my own lens. It would be fun to do that. And so instead of writing a script for the first video, I think I had bullet points, and then maybe I had I think I had bullet points, and then I had them in a document on my computer, and then I just sat there and recorded it in front of my computer, and then I had the wrong mic plugged in the whole time. I had my laptop mic going instead of my actual mic, but it was sort of fine because I didn't really like that take anyways. So I just took that recording with bad audio and listened back to it and then used that as the script, because I had made the script better, but not good enough in my performance of it the first time. So I took that and rewatched it line by line and then re-performed it basically in like a better way. Perform is a strong word, but it's the best word anyways for this context. So that's how the first video came about. And I believe, there's got to be a part 2 to that too. That'll be a good day when I do what the fuck is therapy 2, or just like what's therapy part 1 maybe or 2, or what's therapy. I don't know. I'll just do a video called "What's Therapy?" one day. But it's funny when people comment that, "What's therapy?" It makes me laugh a little bit, not a lot. So that was the first milestone, uploading the first video. And then what I did was I tried to I just searched mental health terms and then searched by new and found small channels that also made videos about mental health and subscribed to them and commented and said, "Hey, I love your videos." And then hope that they would, check out my videos. That's called marketing, baby. If you know the channel The Surfs, also they helped me out. That was a milestone. They're very generous and will promote people's work if they think it's even if you. I was gonna say if it's even moderately good, but it's not about that. It's almost just like as long as it's not bad, and you send them your work to promote. They did that at one point. They had a thing where they were like, "Oh, send us a trailer." So I made a little trailer of my work, probably a year in, or maybe, yeah. And that was cool. That got me from, if I remember, it probably got me from 150 subscribers to 300. I don't know. I'm just making up numbers, but it was cool. It was whoa, okay, hello. Making the Not Even a Show video was big. I sent it to Chris James, the guy who runs the Not Even a Show. He shared it on his Twitter. Also, people who liked the Not Even a Show found my channel. It was a little bump. The Animal Collective video was another milestone. Got me a little bump. Posted it on Reddit. Got some people from there. Another huge milestone was when I did the video. The video on the book The Organs of Sense. So that was my video, the organs of sense and the organs of sense and the overtone window of sanity, the overtone window of sanity. That was a massive video, for me. That was over a year of work, not every single day, but that was me reading a novel by, one of my favorite living writers, Adam Ehrlich Sachs, and I had previously only read short work by him, and it was I think his first novel, or the first one I read, maybe his second novel, but it was a huge deal. It's an amazing book. It's an unbelievable, amazing, just my exact type of fiction that I love. So I read it, and then I was I got to make a video about it. So I read it again and took notes and wrote down different things, and then reached out to him and was "Hey, could I interview you?" And he's "Sure, send me some questions." And I was okay. So I sent him a few questions, 5 or 6 or something, and he answered them, and he was so thoughtful. And so I have an exclusive interview with one of my favorite living authors, and it's public on my Patreon. You can look in the video description of that video, and the link to the interview is public. I didn't make it private for channel supporters. It's an interview with him as an author. If someone writes an article about him in the future, they should, I hope they see my interview, because he makes some comments that are very, very insightful about where he's coming at his art from, and his understanding of sanity and human behavior, and just some of the subjects explored in that amazing work of fiction. So that was a huge milestone for me to get an interview with him, and to that video I bought I bought the phone I have now just for that video to get extremely high quality 4K video footage. And I also just put a lot of effort into the visual presentation. Shooting it was such a wild experience. Just so much pressure, making sure my camera didn't die and stuff. Because at the end of the day, I think I should have gotten an iPhone, because I think these Samsung phones, they're good. It's good, but it'll just get overheated and die sometimes. So that's not what you want from a camera when you're reading a script that you wrote for a long time. The My Little Pony video was the next huge milestone. That was actually the first big blow up video. I mean, that got like 90,000 views in like a few weeks or something, and my channel like exploded. And I had at that point, 9 out of 10 of my subscribers were, fans of My Little Pony, and that's super cool. It's just funny because I just made that one video about My Little Pony, but I didn't know anything else about it, and I wasn't planning on making any other videos about it. But I think these are very curious, and people who want to, they're inquisitive about other subjects. They don't just want to watch videos about My Little Pony. So I think people enjoyed my video essay style, hopefully, because otherwise that could probably be like bad for your YouTube channel to get a bunch of people who are like never interested in anything else you make. But I don't think people are that one track minded, and that's what I'm hoping about Breaking Bad, Better Call Saul. Because I mean, I'm not planning on making more videos about Better Call Saul or Breaking Bad, except the Price video, which someone reminded me. So anyways, I did this community post a few days ago saying, hey, how's it going? And also, like, let me know any questions you want me to address or any comments you want me to address on the podcast. So let me respond to that now, like 30 minutes in or whatever. Some very nice comments, people being nice. And then, someone saying they're waiting for the Price lore video to drop, which I wasn't thinking about, but I appreciate the reminder. That's going to be something where I have to release like a bunch of videos before that. Like I want that to drop out of the blue. And then someone else asked more Better Call Saul content. So that's probably like, I definitely don't see anything on the horizon at this time, but I never say never, but at this point it feels very right to go in a different direction. I'm just not sure what direction that will be, and I'm looking forward to spewing my ideas about something in the future. Okay, and then someone asks, how does your professional experience impact the way you view media, especially character almost said character. Character-driven stories like the BCSBB universe. In addition, how has this YouTube... Okay, so how does my professional experience impact the way I view media, especially character-driven? Well, it's interesting because it's also like the type of person I am that impacts me going into the profession I go into, a helping profession. Like I'm already someone who likes to think a lot about people's motives and break down what they're feeling and why, and analyzing it and their decision-making process and, their perspectives to understand. Like even when I studied philosophy, I was always interested in people's like perspectives and the way they live their life. And these days, like I mentioned in this community post, I've been reading all these artist biographies. I'm interested in people's stories and their lives. But yeah, it's a really good question. I guess my work sort of makes me more compassionate. Like you have to be compassionate to go into a helping profession for sure. But then it really cultivates that compassion, and everyone's compassionate. I just mean you have to like sort of be in touch with your compassionate side and want to feed it. But then you really do feed it by doing work that is at all fulfilling and meaningful. And it doesn't have to be, you don't have to be in a helping profession to feel fulfilled by your work. I'm not trying to say that, but it is a way to get fulfillment. It does work for that. So it makes me like, I don't know, it makes me feel more connected to people and more compassionate in a way that doesn't excuse people. Like my work kind of cultivates this like, I would say tough love, but usually tough love is something that I don't identify with. So I would mean tough love in like a healthy way and not a toxic way. Usually when people mean tough love, they are sort of like just saying tough love, but it's actually what they're talking about is just being a jerk or being a dick. But when I say tough love, I mean like emphasizing the love part, not the tough part. But like being able to sort of approach a human being in a way that like has compassion for the parts where the person is suffering, and also sort of has belief and faith in the parts of the person that are strong and healthy and at a good place, and to sort of see that dynamic and to say, well, the way all these factors, the way all these chips fall could be different if certain things change. Imagining how a person could function differently, imagining how their healthy parts could overtake their unhealthy parts, and really cultivating that mix of compassion and expectation. I don't know. There's probably a lot of words I could use, but yeah, I don't know. It's such a good question. So I guess that's the answer I have for now. In addition, how has this YouTube channel impacted your enjoyment of media? I'd say I'm way more like understanding of media than I used to be. Like when I saw Poor Things, like I was talking about last week, I was with family members, and one of my family members afterwards was like, "Oh, it was joked that it was an anti-feminist movie because it did have like you could say it had feminist themes and like the woman characters' empowerment throughout the film. You could say, I don't know, it's probably a discussion to be had, and I talked about my issues with the film on the pod last week, but a family member then, in response to that, comment was sort of like, well, actually, there were a lot of like degrading ideas about women being said in the film, and I was like, but they were said by the male characters, and it's explicit. It's more about like whether a film is feminist would be more about how feminist ideas are embodied maybe in the women's behavior. Like what I'm trying to say is like men saying degrading things to a woman in the film does not necessarily reflect on the woman in the film. It reflects on the men. So anyways, that's just not first of all, not that I'm like the feminist police when I'm watching film and I'm the, ultimate arbiter of what's feminist. And also, not that that's some deep genius realization. I'm just saying like that was the type of thing where I'm like, oh, I very readily, have better media literacy than maybe I used to, or I can just like, I don't know. It's just second nature to me a little bit now to like understand, that like what I'm watching could be interpreted in a bunch of different ways, and to kind of juggle those interpretations, I guess. But yeah, there are times where like it could probably hinder my appreciation of media sometimes. I don't feel that it does though. I'm not, especially because I haven't made a video in over 6 or 7 months. And then last question, what that you feel comfortable sharing are you most grateful for in your life? I am honestly most grateful for having supportive people that exist in my life. That feels pretty lucky. Some friends, some family, very happy for that. And also my, just like the things I can't control in my body and in my just overall existence, in my environment and in my history, the things that, have helped me become who I am, like just the fact that I just like wake up every morning and my heart keeps beating, and, and my mitochondria keeps producing ATP or whatever. And, but yeah, I'm grateful to have the ability to support myself and have free time. And my life now is basically like what I could have wanted it to be if I had had good foresight when I was like 18. It's really like I did want to just like the idea that I can just work to live and then live to sort of like make art and build relationships is like what I want to do. And like the fact that I can spend so much time just in exploring my interests and connecting with other people as much as I can. It's like where I want to be in life. And a lot of the development that I want now in my life is in those directions of just like connecting more with people and making more art and just like seeing the world more and expanding my horizons more. So the fact that I can do that because I've had a lot of privilege to get to the point where I can support myself with a profession. I'm just like profoundly grateful for. So yeah, thank you for the questions. And while we're here, before I go back to the milestones on the channel, let's check the channel mailbag. So we have a podcast mailbag. Ooh, someone wrote in. All right. Hello, Sass is writing in for the second time. Thank you so much for writing in, Sass. Hi there. You read lots of artist biographies. Are there any artists who don't have biographies that you know of you would like to read, including musicians, filmmakers, photographers, and painters, sculptors, of course? Thanks, Sassafras. I assume this is asked because, Sass, you are offering to write biographies of anyone that I'm interested in having a biography written about. I appreciate that. That's a good question. I don't know who doesn't have a biography. That's a good question. I'm curious who artists who don't have biographies. Let me Google that. See, I don't have bios for, honestly, that is such a good question because I don't know who doesn't have, real art. I don't know who doesn't have biographies. I guess probably some contemporary artists. It'd be cool to read biographies for like my friends. That'd be funny if someone that'd be really cool. Instead of having to learn information really slowly over the course of years and building trust, you could just learn it immediately. Probably who else? I don't know, like Flying Lotus, I'd be interested in, like the music producer. Maybe, I'm going to look into Salvador Dali because I read his autobiography when I was younger. And, I used to be really into him. Now I'm like, he's a little weird, but still he's a master. I would like to read an actual biography that's not steeped in his own games that he plays, his own mental games. It'd be nice to read an actual biography and not an autobiography. Yeah, I don't read these autobiographies anymore. Fuck that. Except, the memoir, Francois Guillot's, sorry for my French, her memoir, that's sort of like an autobiography, but it's a memoir specifically about living with Picasso and having kids with him and stuff. So, and painters, sculptors, I gotta think. Yeah, I'm trying to learn more contemporary painters because I totally don't know any of them. And I want to understand what's going on so that I can be in the know. But that's a great question, Sass. You could write a few biographies. That would be, you could write in next time with, just like several biographies. Okay, so back to the channel milestones. So the My Little Pony video, then the Better Call Saul videos, especially after I did the third one, dropped in April 2022, and then season 6 started up. That was a huge milestone. That was when the channel started taking off again, post My Little Pony. Then Breaking Bad video. That was a huge milestone. And then recently, the channel hit 4 million hours of watch time. That's 4 million hours of watch time the channel has hit. Now, how do I conceive that number? Good question. I don't have a conception of that number. But it seems large is why I wanted to point it out, because it does seem large. Okay, that part of the podcast was not supposed to take 38 minutes. I wanted to respond to someone left a very long, nice comment on the video, just like saying nice things and then asking me if I would work with them as a client for therapy. And they actually deleted the comment. I'm not sure why, but I've gotten that comment a few times and people have messaged me before on Twitter. I respond to the messages on usually because I want to be nice, and it's very nice that people want that people watch my videos and want to work with me. But I wouldn't take on a client from online because that's just not what I do. I think it's kind of unethical. There are probably ethical ways to do it, but I don't, because like, I don't, it just seems like you should find a therapist like probably close to where you live is the best idea. If you can't, then maybe branch out a little bit, but you should probably try to find someone. Even if you do it online, you should probably try to find someone who knows like your area and where you live and the services in your area and stuff like that. So I just don't know that I find it ethical. So I don't ever, take on clients from my online work, but I appreciate it so much when people ask, because it means that they really trust me and like, appreciate my perspective and stuff. So that's very cool. Okay. And, on to the next subject. This is, I now follow, contemporary art news, and there's this article about the only painting created by all four Beatles, could sell for $600,000 at auction. It was made while on tour in Tokyo in 1966. I can't believe they only made one painting together. Actually, yeah, I kind of can actually. And it's pretty good, actually. I was gonna be a dick about it, but it's actually kind of cool. It's kind of cool. Wonder who made which part. Huh. Did they sign it where they did it? Yeah, probably. Paul McCartney made that part. Okay, that's interesting. John Lennon made that one. Oh, more pictorial. No, Ringo. I like Ringo's the best. Whoa, Ringo's got the sharp edges. Wow, and then George Harrison's just on some other stuff. Wow. It's not bad. It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. Don't quit your day job though, Beatles. Don't quit your day job. So next up, another art article. This article is called Meow. Meow No, 7 paintings by artists who have probably never seen a cat. So I was interested in it. I didn't realize it was going to be 7 paintings where the cat looks really weird and deformed. I was hoping it was literally they had done like the historical research to determine that these artists had likely never seen a cat. But they're just showing pictures where the cats are portrayed in funny ways, which is fine, but not fitting for a podcast. I was hoping it was literally like, oh, we looked into it and likely based on where this artist lived, they had never seen a cat. But no, I mean, that doesn't make a lot of sense now that I think about it. But it doesn't, these look, painting cats is hard. Okay. Anyways, I'm currently reading a biography of Man Ray, very interesting artist, sort of involved in the surrealist movement, but like most artists, not deeply a part of any one group. But his art is really interesting. He was a painter, and he was friends with Marcel Duchamp, and then he, who I read a biography of a month or two ago. And it's this biography of Man Ray like mentions so much about Marcel Duchamp. Like it just goes on tangents where it's just like about Marcel Duchamp. He's just such an interesting guy. Everybody just wants to talk about him. But Man Ray's really cool. He went from painting to photography for a long while. He actually was like a very successful like society photographer, like photographing for like Vogue and Vanity Fair and shit, and like working with very rich people. But he also like sort of developed. He didn't create, but he sort of like worked out his own version slightly of like I think they're called like photograms, or he created what's called like a rayograph, and it's basically creating a photograph without a camera, just using the photo paper that gets dipped in the whatever solution, and then he would like put objects on the photo paper and like move them around as it developed and like get interesting sort of visuals. And he would sometimes have experimental processes for the portraits as well, come out with picture of some rich lady with like 4 eyes or something, and the rich lady would be like, how chic and the American, because he was in Paris or whatever. So very interesting book, but one of his famous works is this photograph of his sort of partner and this model Kiki de Mont. I'm not going to try to pronounce it. But anyways, it's her sort of seated from the back. She's nude, but you just see her back and like the top of her butt. And she's looking to the left, and she has like a sort of like headdressy hat on, and she has an earring. And then on her back, there are 2 like F holes like on a cello. So her back sort of looks like a cello, and then she has the 2 F holes. It's kind of objectifying women. or it is almost literally objectifying women. But I think the reason it's so famous is, well, either just because it's objectifying women or because it does it in an artistic way that people can still be like, but it's not. Because in the book I read too, like it, it makes, it somehow like sort of speaks to, I guess, classical postures or forms in art, and in some ways, I guess, communicates to some people. Yeah, I don't know. I guess I'm trying to talk around it. I think it's the type of objectification where it's glorification rather than putting down. It's putting on a pedestal, but it's still, anyways, it's an important work of photography for whatever reasons. But I was like, how did he get the F holes on the back? And you can look it up. The photo is called Le Violin de Ingres. It's called the Violin of Ingres because I don't know how you pronounce his name. Ingres. He was a famous painter who apparently, when people would come to look at his paintings, he would make them listen to his violin playing. So that's funny, and that's a great title for a painting. And anyways, or a photograph. I keep calling it a painting, but it's a good photograph. Anyways, I was like, how did he do the F holes though? The book I'm reading talked about the photograph for a little while and didn't mention how he. Like, I'm like, this is 1924. Like, how did he print that? But I learned that the way he, like, because when you look at the photo, it's like they're on her back. So how did he get F holes from a cello on her back in 1924? And this website, the Christie's auction website, says Man Ray used a mask to burn the F hole shapes onto the photographic paper in the location on Kiki's back. He cut F holes into a sheet of thick paper, laid this template over a sheet of photographic paper, and then exposed this to light, causing the F holes to print onto the photographic paper. The image of Kiki was then printed onto the sheet with the F holes by way of the original negative and an enlarger, and the two exposures were thereby combined to create Le Violin de Ingres. I'm sorry. It is from a copy negative of this resulting photograph that the present lot and all other subsequent prints of the image have been made. Interesting. One other point I wanted to make is from this biography. They mentioned how surrealist artists often didn't want to talk about their childhoods. I just thought that was interesting because I hit the mic. I've noticed that, but I've never heard someone just come out and say it. Now, as a therapist, my perspective might shock you to learn that I actually think people should talk about their childhoods. I think it's kind of immature. I think, and it's something I relate to at a younger point. I feel like when I was like 18 or 19, like I didn't talk as much about my childhood, and I didn't understand the arc of my life as much. I didn't understand who I was as much, and who I am and stuff. So I couldn't really communicate about myself as much because I didn't give enough thought to myself, But so I think it's a little bit of a coping mechanism to be like, talking about your childhood is bad, for all these philosophical reasons, and I'm a surrealist. I think it's a little bit of a coping mechanism, and it's like maybe you should just talk about your childhood, and you don't have to be steeped in it and attached in it all the time, but you could at least be able to talk about it. In a realistic way rather than a mythologizing way, which is why I don't want to read Dali's autobiography again. I'd rather read a biography, because a good biography is not mythologizing. That one I read about Ernst was mythologizing. The one I read about Paul Klee was mythologizing. And they were bad. They were worse for those reasons, like significantly worse. The good biographies will never, mythologize or make the person out to be like larger than life, because they're not. They're life-sized. Okay, and now we're getting into the sports section. Welcome to the sports section of the Verbal Journal podcast. First up on the sports desk today, Panthers, this is a football team. Panthers owner, the owner of the Carolina Panthers on Tuesday was fined $300,000 by the NFL for throwing a drink on fans of the opposing team when his team, the Panthers, lost 26-0. They lost 26-0, which is horrendous in football. And the owner of the team, so this is not a sportsman, this is a businessman. This is just some rich guy who owns a football team throwing a drink at fans of the opposing team because his team loses 26-0. Wow. $300,000. He should have to do community service. Like, what? $300,000. That's nothing. Okay. Anyways, next up on the sports desk. This is interesting. I didn't read this, but so Jim Harbaugh, what is this? Who is he? He's he's the coach of the Michigan football team, which is a big football team. And he said recently at a media day, he used his time to advocate for revenue sharing for college athletes. He said that coaches, administrators, and television networks are all robbing the same train. Which is a Breaking Bad reference. They don't mention that in the article, but that's a Breaking Bad reference. And so he says that they're all robbing the same train and making money off unpaid college players, and he hopes the rapid pace of change in the sport can finally make revenue sharing a reality, not just in football, but in all collegiate athletics. So that's a really cool idea, and I think it's an interesting idea to actually pay the people doing the labor. I haven't really thought it through. It definitely has some intuitive appeal, but I wouldn't want to be too radical. But yeah, paying the people doing the actual labor, the extremely strenuous labor, that's an interesting concept. So I wanted to support Jim Harbaugh on that measure and offer the What's Therapy blessing and the Verbal Journal podcast blessing as well to Jim Harbaugh of Michigan. Next up on the sports desk is tonight, Draymond Green will be rejoining the Golden State Warriors. So we've been following the Draymond Green case because it's interesting from a psychological standpoint, from a justice and accountability standpoint, and from a, I've watched a lot of Warriors games standpoint. Draymond Green is a very aggressive basketball player that is pretty good at basketball, but also extremely violent on the court and has hit his own teammates in practice and choked opposing teammates in games, and apparently lacks self-control or really struggles with his self-control. So he was suspended for 12 games. It was indefinite, but it ended up lasting 12 games, which is not that long. Considering he struck Yusuf Nurkic, who's on my fantasy team, when he hit Yusuf Nurkic, it's just interesting that 12 games is the punishment for hitting your coworker, essentially. So not a huge punishment, and he's rejoining the Warriors tonight, which is unfortunate. But I don't care. I'm not really a Warriors fan. Can't really watch basketball. It's just too much going on. Football, I enjoy. It's a little bit slower paced, and I find the game a little more interesting. It's more chess-like. Basketball is a little too fast-paced, but I do respect it, and I do watch it regularly. Okay, so we're almost done here. Speaking of chess, there's a chess segment of the podcast. I already mentioned beating a 2,000 rated player. One thing that's interesting, I just thought about, someone mentioned something about grandmasters from Japan, and I realized I have never seen a Japanese chess player at any of the top tournaments. I follow chess. I watch the top tournaments live a lot of the time, and I've been following it for 5 or 6 years, and I've never seen a Japanese player. I've seen players from so many countries. I've never seen a Japanese player at the top, and I looked it up, and then I realized that's because they have shogi. They have shogi, which came before chess, I believe. It's a very old game similar to chess, but it's obviously anyone in Japan is going to go into shogi. Because that's it's this rich history in their country. Of course it's very similar to chess. Of course you're gonna play shogi. But there are Japanese chess players, of course. The highest rated Japanese chess player is 2386. Maybe I have seen this player actually, Tran. I think I have seen him actually. And I didn't. His title is Candidate Master. So there are no Grandmasters. Wow, there are no Japanese grandmasters. That's interesting. Well, that'll change eventually, but yeah, interesting. Okay. 2,300. Yeah, wow. Top players are like 2,700. So, very interesting. 2,800 if you're Fabiano or Magnus. Okay. So, anyways, Draymond Green, blah blah blah. Okay, since it's the public episode, I'm going to do a quick plug for. Speaking of Magnus Carlsen, someone, if you know Magnus Carlsen, please tell him to take out of his Twitter bio that he's the world chess champion. He's no longer the world chess champion yet. It's been in his bio for over 6 months. It's very odd. It's also, I believe, still on his YouTube channel. He did change his header from saying world chess champion, but it seemingly was just because he wanted to add that specific photo of himself. If we look at his YouTube channel, I'm sure it's still in his about page. He seems to struggle very much with changing these things. Let's see. This is the official YouTube home of the world chess champion, Magnus Carlsen. He is literally not. That is fraud. So anyways, if you know Magnus, please tell him. And for the last and final and concluding segment on the public episode number 2, thanks so much for joining. It's the screen time report. So every week I give my weekly screen time report from my phone. People love it. So it's funny. I use my phone for about 1 hour to 2 hours each day. And then yesterday I had my phone on for 6 hours because I had, I was listening to like funny podcast stuff on YouTube on my phone while I like used my other devices for like other random things. And I was like painting and stuff. So I had my phone going for 6 hours, even though I wasn't sitting there staring at my phone. It was podcasts, I swear. But that made my daily average screen time 2 hours and 2 minutes each day this past week, which is outrageous. Usually I like to have it lower. But again, it's because of that fluke. So don't freaking tell on me. Everyone just calm down. Okay, everyone just calm down. And that's the public episode number 2. So, hey, if you'd like, feel free to subscribe to the Patreon or the YouTube members page, and you can see all the past episodes of the Verbal Journal podcast where I talk about all different kinds of stuff. And you can watch other videos and listen to music and stuff that I have posted, but no worries if that's not your thing. And, yeah, I guess be on the lookout for, I'll do a live stream eventually. We can hang out a little bit, and I hope you're all doing well. I hope you're feeling good in your life and things, go your way, and I'm going to go eat breakfast. A late breakfast, I might say. All right. Well, bye. This is a podcast or something like that.